I'm really excited to be here today. It's the first time we've ever done co-presenting, and with a wonderful Bauer Media team. Jordan is somebody who presents on KISS, the early breakfast every weekday. Fantastic. What time do you have to get up for that one? I think you start at 4 a.m, so that must mean you're up by 2?
Yeah, my other half isn't a big fan of that, but it's all right.
Oh, you're killing it. And you also do the biggest dance in R&B every Sunday from 2 p.m, is that right?
Yes, that's on KISS FM, so please come and listen if you need a bit of oomph on your Sunday when you've got a hangover.
Who doesn't need that? So, Jordan, you have interviewed the likes of Ed Sheeran, Dua Lipa, and even Kylie Minogue. Who's that one person you've interviewed that's left a mark? Have you got any secrets you can tell us?
Oh, okay. Once I remember getting a text from this artist's management. They go, just to warn you, they're going to be wearing something a little bit weird, but don't ask any questions. I was like, well, what could it be? So on pops Doja Cat on the screen wearing a boxing helmet. And I'm just like, hi? She's like, hi, is there something wrong? And I was like, no, nothing's wrong. You don't ask any questions. So yeah, that definitely left the mark. And then we started talking about PlayStation and Xbox, and then we fell out, and that was it. It was done.
So we're not going to be talking about those things this morning. We're going to be talking about media strategy and planning. That's a nice little segue for you. So this theme is all about media strategy. We wanted to do something a little bit different. We wanted to put some speakers on stage that you can ask questions of. So rather than a standard panel where the chairperson will be asking all the questions, put your hand up, get involved, we'll be running the mics. We want to hear your questions. Anything about media strategy and planning is fine. But first, we're going to start with 2 fantastic provocations. It was going to be 3. One of our speakers did have to drop out last night, unfortunately. But these 2 speakers are going to tell you a few things about the future of media strategy and planning. So, Jordan,
well, listen,
we have coming up first.
Oh, wow. Do you know what? Also, I have 3 names on this card. So we're going to find out which one of these, isn't here in real time, okay? So kicking off our first session of the day, we're going to explore how media and planning can evolve, how we can be bolder, more innovation, and rethink our strategies for the modern advertising world. So you're going to have to help me here, Sam. If it's the right one, you can just be like, yes, and if not...
We could do a little drum roll and see.
Okay, ready? So please welcome our speakers. CSO at Hearts and Science, Simon Carr.
Perfect.
Great, brilliant. Managing Partner of Strategy and Innovation at Good Stuff, Claire Kimber.
Not quite.
Not here. That's fine, we move to our final one. CSO at Essence Mediacom, Richard Carr.
Okay, so this morning I'm going to talk about how I believe we can reinvigorate media planning through using category entry points. I'm going to start by asking for hands up who's familiar with category entry points. A bit of audience participation. A few hands, excellent, well done, Rich does as well. So hopefully you can learn something new today. So I'm going to start, so Sam asked me to talk about the future. I'm going to start by going to the past. I'm going to go back 100 years. So this year, we're celebrating the 100-year birthday of the sales funnel. In a book in 2024 about bond salesmanship, awareness, consideration, and sales was first highlighted. And we spent 100 years now using the funnel, possibly a little bit too obsessed with the funnel in terms of this binary funnel, in terms of how we think about advertising and marketing and media planning. We talk about brand and performance a lot, but I think we overlook consideration to some degree. And there's a reason for that. It's a slow-moving measure. A global study by Kantar Mildred Brown of 408 brands showed that the median shift over 12 months is about 0.01. So it's an incredibly slow-moving metric. But it is really important. It correlates really highly with usage, to about 0.79 in terms of a correlation. So it's important, but I think we haven't been thinking about it and understanding it properly to date. And I think the answer to how we actually do solve this consideration conundrum the messy middle, as it's sometimes been called these days, actually lies with our friends at the Ernbo Bass Institute. So you're probably familiar with Byron Sharp and those guys who wrote How Brands Grow 1 and 2. And they talk about brand growth in terms of two aspects. To grow a brand, you need to grow mental availability and you need to grow physical availability. Quite simply, you need to be easy to be thought of and you need to be easily bought. And those two aspects lead to brand growth. It sounds really simple. It's obviously a little bit more complicated than that in terms of how we do that. I'm going to talk about mental availability, though, today, and specifically the two building blocks of mental availability. So the first one is distinctive assets, which are those elements which are things like logos or colour or sonics, which basically means that you can understand or recognise a brand without knowing what the brand is itself. You know, golden arches from McDonald's is a great distinctive asset. But I'm going to talk about category entry points specifically. So category entry points are those cues or situations where a consumer moves from being out of a category to in a category, and that's that consideration point. Consideration is really kind of quite static as a metric, and category entry points allows us to be much more dynamic. It allows us to be much more context specific, because actually when we're moving into a category, there are lots of things that affect that decision at that time. And they can be broken down into two things. There are internal cues, so they can be emotional, or they can be emotive. So if I could be feeling lethargic, so I want a coffee, or can need an energy boost, an espresso before I do a workout. Or equally, they can be external cues as well. So it may be the timing, maybe the location, maybe who I'm with has got a particular influence on that specific point. And this is where category entry becomes really simple, because it breaks that static consideration metric down into loads of dynamic consideration category entry points. And I think this is super, super interesting when we think about comms and media planning in the future. So I think the question here is therefore, well, that's all well and good, but what do I do about that? I can't in the space of the next few minutes tell you everything, but I can give you four kind of ways about how to use category entry points, how we're using category entry points to aid media planning. And I think the first thing is you've got to identify them. There's plenty of reading and books out there from the Ernbo Bass Institute about how you identify category entry points. Unfortunately, you've got to go and do some hard research to really understand the category entry points that are related to the category that you operate in. There's a specific way of doing that with hard research. Secondly, you've got to prioritise them. So once you've done some research in terms of identifying the category entry points in your category and the brand linkage in the category, you then need to prioritise them. And you do that in terms of two key ways, is really one in terms of size and one in terms of importance and brand linkage. And that's where it starts to get interesting in terms of how you can then start to map out the mental market share that you may have versus the rest of the category. Which category entry points do you really need to focus on, and which ones can you potentially not focus on? And that has influences on both paid media, but it can also influence your own shared and earned strategies, which link accordingly as well. You can then activate those. You can then take that all the way through, and that's where it starts to really influence media planning at the hard end. Your media plans will start to look slightly different because you're starting to then sharpen the media plan against category entry points. And you can do this in a number of different ways. You can do this from a pure messaging perspective, so working with your content design agencies, creative agencies to work on the messaging aspect. But equally, you can start to look at what does that mean in terms of the behavioural design of signal, how you use signals across the course of the media plan, but also it gets you into some really interesting spaces in terms of what moments and contexts can I then leverage across the media plan to make it look different and make sure I'm turning up in the right moment for the brand. And then finally, you've got to really track what's happening, because this is not just standard brand tracking. You've got to test, you've got to identify those category entry points, but then you've also got to do some marketing, do some media, do some comms, and then come back and work out, have those linkages changed over time? It gives you a different angle, a different lens on how you think about your measurement framework. It's not just theory. It's been integral to the relaunch of the National Lottery. So an example with Lotto, one of the biggest draw-based games, and we identified that the category entry point about fear of missing out was incredibly important. So a lot of the media plan has been designed around togetherness and collective play. So first commercial sponsor of Hearts Made Me a Millionaire. We had nearly 5 million entries and players of that game. To also how we oriented the rest of the media plan around more collective moments to really bring that strategy to bear. And then I think there are really 5 benefits to how we use category entry points in media planning. The first one is this consideration point. It moves you from static understanding of consideration to a more dynamic understanding of category entry points and consideration, which you can track and give you leading indicators in terms of how that can potentially move. Second, it gives you a different angle on competitive. So, Nielsen and understanding share of voice has to some degree received some criticism because of the way that how we measure media these days is hard, but and not quite perfect. But this allows you to also measure the brand linkage of your competitors, so you can start to understand which category entry points you're winning and which ones your competitors are also losing on or winning on as well, to give you a really different perspective. It reframes context in terms of how we can then start to bring context back into media planning more sharply. It influences content design, and it is more consumer-centric in terms of being more about how consumers enter a category rather than just about being reasons to believe, which we sometimes default to. Thank you very much. I'm over to Rich.